Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder, coming to you live from Dover for round 13 of the Xfinity Series at, so there you go folks. I'm expecting we'll have Steve Hoppett, the voice of ANZCAR, down a bit later on tonight, but before we get into that, let's go over and have a look at how the trucks went at Dover last Monday night.
Welcome to round 13 of the ANZCAR Monday Night Truck Series, coming to you tonight from Dover Speedway. Relatively small field out tonight. Simon Thomas putting in a great lap to actually take that pole position ahead of Jackson Callow. Haven't seen him for a couple of rounds now, and he comes back with a bang, sticking it right there on pole and leading away early with Callow, who looks as though he's actually changed the paint scheme on that truck just recently. In hot pursuit with Danson just sitting back there in third. Danson, of course, having wrapped up the title in the last round, and now just racing to really put his stamp on the championship, as if he needed to do that with such a dominant performance as he's managed to put in. Sam Katakazinas and Nicholas Walsh are running together early as Walsh just touches the wall up there, and Steve Hoppett running there with Carolyn Upton. Ashley Lear as well, sitting in there behind Danson in the early stages, while Callow and Thomas, were battling for first place. And you can see Steve Hoppett's just bounced off the outside wall, gone to the inside there, and made the motor on that truck very sad indeed. And I'm not sure if that actually brought out the caution there, but he ended up multiple laps down. Matt Hunter battling away there with Nicholas Walsh, just getting a little bit sideways and glancing the wall himself. He just managed to keep that, keep that within the confines of the circuit, but he's bounced back up, and the unlucky Todd Maxfield there has just managed to spin around. Of course, that's brought out the caution. You can see there off the start, Carolyn Upton starting from the first position, lit up the tyres. I know all too well what that feels like, having done that a couple of weeks ago, if you recall, and the end result very much the same. So when the caution disappeared, we had Aaron Dillon leading away from Ashley Lear. Not sure if this is the first time we've seen Aaron lead a ANZCAR race. If it is, he'll be very well pleased with that, coming under a bit of pressure there from Lear, as you see Matt Danson just working on the back of Nicholas Shields. And just making the move there down the inside, and Shields doesn't look too interested in that fight, just letting him go and get on with it. Also put the exact same move on Ash Lear, who just slots in behind Danson there, hopefully to use Danson to pull up to the back of the leader. Nicholas Walsh and Jackson Callow running there together. Callow's fallen a little bit down from his starting position, as you see Danson just making his way past Matt Hunter as well. A bit of damage on that black Toyota there, but he's continuing on. Callow and Walsh just running there side by side, just catching up with Maxfield, who we saw involved in that really heavy wreck earlier on. Obviously has got that damage repaired and is back out there on the track, but he's a number of trucks to be running around with damage at the moment. As you see Ashley there also just slotting past Matt Hunter. Danson now just working his way past a few of those other guys, just working his way past Maxfield. He had such a great race in the Tuesday night race, ANZCAR race with the car tomorrow they put on. He had a really, really good drive there, and Nicholas Walsh just hanging to the outside there while those other two guys come through on him, and continuing on his way. Danson now just pulling right up onto the back of Callow and making that move. Callow, you can see, carrying a little bit of damage of his own. Maxfield putting a very similar move on him a couple of laps later. Callow's had a fairly rough night by his standards, did an excellent job there bouncing off the outside wall and managing to actually hold it down, so it didn't cause any issues for anyone else. James Robbie, first time we've seen him in a highlights package tonight, just moving his way up through the field as Callow continues that recovery drive back up there as he was earlier on with Nicholas Walsh. Steve Hoppett did make a return to the race after getting those repairs, and Ashley Lear just making a dive for the pits, getting a little bit wrong, and not sure if he actually glanced the front of that truck on the end of the tyre barriers or not, but he certainly glanced the top wall there as Danson just slips through there on the inside, and Lear manages to continue on as the battle continues between Dylan and James Robbie in the 41. Maxfield just there in the outside wall, and just second time he's been around tonight. First one, of course, not his fault at all. That one was pretty much on his own. Spun out and brought out the caution, from which Danson led away with Lear hanging around his outside there, and Callow just keeping a watching brief back there in third place as Dylan and Robbie keep going at it and working their way back up through the field, just putting another lap on Steve Hoppett there. This battle just continued on and on, running side by side for quite a while. Robbie's actually got the move done around the outside there. Dylan attempting to come back on the inside as Callow gets it a bit loose and glances that outside wall, spins it around and brings out the caution. Starting away again, Danson jumps back into the lead, followed by Lear, followed by Robbie, followed by Dylan. They would just continue to run in that order as Robbie has just caught up to Lear there and just putting a move down the inside. He's had to fight for it though. Lear staying there on the outside, hanging in as much as he can, but Robbie, having that preferred inside line, has actually been able to clear Ashley and will continue on his way. Dylan, of course, was part of that battle with Robbie, but seems to have fallen away, as Robbie now looks to put the pressure on the leader, Matt Danson. Just as they're working their way past Todd Maxfield there, you can see Robbie just there with Danson in his sights, just keeping an eye on him. Danson using all his experience, working his way past those back markers, doing his best to keep Robbie at bay, just working his way around the outside of Steve Hoppett there as well, and Robbie will follow him through. The race moved into its dying stages. The challenge from Robbie just fell away a little way. Danson's actually managed to clear out. Perhaps he took better care of his tyres or something of that nature, but he certainly has extended that gap over James Robbie and went on to take a well-deserved victory. So it would be Danson in first place, James Robbie in second, and Ashley Lear rounding out the top three in third place. Another good race. Final one for the season coming up next week, coming to us from Kansas, and from there we will see who gets promoted to the Thunder Series, and who's around to race in the trucks next season and fight for this championship. There's certainly been a great series this first time round, and it'll be even bigger and better next year with live broadcast coming. So enjoy the Thunder tonight, and back to you, Bernie.
Yeah, thanks, Edward. And that was Edward Foster giving you the highlights of last Monday night, folks. And congratulations to the podium. First, Matt Danson. Second, James Golden Boy Robbie. And third, Ashley Lear. Having a look at how the point score shapes up after that round, and we'll bring that up now. So Matt Danson is still leading on 574 points. Nicholas Walsh on 443 points in second. Third, Todd Maxfield on 433 points in third. James Robbie in fourth, 428, and Steve Hoppett in fifth position. And it must be said, the top 10 have not really changed much in that round, so there was a lot of sweat, a lot of frustration, and not a lot of change in the points. But let's turn our attention now to the Xfinity Series, and as you can see, folks, up there we've got 6 minutes of qualifying to go, or practice, sorry. So coming into this second last round of the Xfinity Series Thursday Night Thunder, we have Jason Martin leading the way on 482 points. Josh Micklemore second on 433 points. He is closing in, but I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time to actually snatch that win. Steve Williams sitting in third on 415. Then we've got Thomas Hines in fourth on 408. And rounding out your top five is Matt Clowett. He's sitting on 392 points. But I tell you what, folks, before we get any further into this, I better introduce you to the team tonight. It's none other than myself, Bernie Weemers, and the voice of ANZCAR, Steve Hoppett. You there, Steve?
Yeah, good day, Bernie. Good day, viewers. How are you all out there tonight? Looking forward to some real action here tonight. Certain couple of spots out there we'll probably cover shortly, but yeah, great to be here, Bernie, and I hope you're well.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. It's another night, Thursday Night Thunder. How could I not be awesome? I love this stuff, and it's going to be absolutely great to be calling the action with you. I'm not sure if I'll be able to keep up. I'll do my best. I tell you what, Steve, looking back at Monday night, though, it looked like there was a lot of action. Dover looked like it bit the trucks pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it certainly does that. A couple of spots here you really got to be careful. Obviously, the exit from turn 4 provides plenty of excitement. As you're exiting that, it's very easy to brush, or even in my case, hit the wall, which I did, and I expected to, as I think everybody did at some point, expected to brush the walls around this place. But the coming out of turn 4, it's a little bit different to where you come out of turn 2, whereas the track itself, it's just a little bit different, where with turn 2 you can actually pretty much come out of there at a decent rate of knots. With turn 4, it's very easy to misjudge the distance from the wall at speed, and I expected to brush it a couple of times or whatever, but when I hit it I certainly wasn't expecting to bounce off it the way I did, as you saw in the highlights there. So I wasn't the only one to come to grief on the night, as you saw. Also, the pit entry can be a little bit tricky here. If all you need is just the slightest lapse in concentration, carry a little bit too much speed, and you can actually overshoot that. I believe Ashlear, it was on Monday night, he overshot that a little bit and almost wound up in those water barrels at the end of pit wall.
So what you're saying, basically, there's a heck of a lot that can bite these blokes here tonight at Dover.
Oh, absolutely. Spot on. But there is a lot. I mean, it's not a very big track. It's only a 1 miler, but it feels like you're going around Martinsville or Bristol. That's how it feels at this track while you're in the vehicle. It doesn't look like it's a 1 mile track, and it doesn't certainly feel like it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, after 160 laps around here, I think it's definitely going to feel like it's for a lot of these boys. But having a look at the weather at the moment, it's basically partly cloudy out there, 36 or 35 degrees Celsius or 96 degrees Fahrenheit, depending on where you're coming from viewing this from the world. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be hot. How do you think tyre wear's going to go around here?
All in all, Bernie, it probably won't be too bad. I mean, it depends the line they take and how hard they push them. To be perfectly honest, the only time I felt a need to pit was after I'd sort of made a major faux pas, and that was it. But I didn't get a chance to do a lot of laps. That was on about lap 14 or 15. And when I rejoined, it was only probably about 15 or 20 laps to go. So I can't really say that I noticed a huge amount of tyre wear or any real issues with the tyres going off. But there certainly seemed to be a few that needed to pit for that reason. But it was a bit hard to tell throughout the race because there was certain damage that needed to be taken care of, bouncing it off the wall. You've only got to glance it along the wall here about 3 or 4 times, and you'll start to notice the feeling in the whole thing, the steering and all that sort of stuff. So tyre wear, yeah, depending on the track temp, the tyre wear might not be too bad here tonight. It's a short track, and I think we're going to see more pit stops than along the line for damage or fuel and just plain out necessity rather than the tyres going off. I don't think we're going to have a real issue with that, but having said that, who knows, anything's possible.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely see how it goes. I agree with you. I have a feeling we're going to be in for a few cautions here earlier on tonight as it thins out. For those new to the Thursday Night Thunder, the way it works, folks, they have unlimited incident points, but they have no fast repairs. So it doesn't matter if you get caught in the big one tonight or even glance at wall, it could end up being a very long night for your pit crew. So that will no doubt be at the back of everyone's minds as they prepare very shortly for qualifying of this race. But having a look at the way it stands at the moment in practice, Jason Martin is the fastest, 23.380 seconds. Josh Mickelmore in the number 2 is right behind him, second fastest. Edward Foster in the 53. Keep an eye on him tonight, folks. And then Dwayne Preece in fourth position. Rounding out your top 5, Stephen Williams. He's not far behind, and he's sitting in fifth in practice. But I tell you what, Steve, those times, those gaps, it's awfully close here tonight.
Oh, yeah, we're going to find that all night, Bernie. There's not a lot of difference between them. Edward Foster at the moment was sitting around about third fastest out there in practice. Last week's round winner, and I'd keep my eye on Edward. He's having a bit of a good run at the moment. Tuesday night saw the COT Cars of Tomorrow 2013 Sprint Cup cars at Talladega, and Edward actually picked that one up as well. So he's having a little bit of a purple patch out there at the moment. So keep an eye on him tonight. If he can keep it straight and keep it out of trouble, he might end up at the pointy end of the field tonight as well.
Yeah, well, the guys are out there now, and we saw Mirko Dortmund. He was the first one out, but he had a false start. He went straight back to the pits. You can see now Matthew Clowett, he's the first one out doing his hot lap. You can see it counting down there on the bottom of your screens, folks. Let's see what he sets as he comes through now to complete his first lap. They get 3 laps here at Dover, and into the wall he goes. That is not going to count, I don't think. What do you think, Steve?
No, that lap's gone. That's history, and it's entirely up to him as to whether he bothers to go out and do another one. Dave Douglas, it looks like, has come to grief on the infield as well. It can bite pretty hard, this track. It's a little bit deceptive. When you think you've actually got your line sorted out, it bites you. So Dave's going to continue on, but we'll wait and see what happens with Mirko and see what he can pull out of it.
Yeah, we just saw Phil Otto there complete his second lap. He did improve. He's taken provisional pole, 23.828. Mirko Dortmund, you can see on the screen, folks, he has finished his 2 laps. He is in second. Looking further down, Joshua Carroll Walden at the moment, he's in the pit, so he's done. Stephen Williams, we'll have a look at him in the number 98 here, 5th fastest in practice. He's out there at the moment. And, well, he's finished 11th fastest. He's going to be a bit disappointed with that.
Oh, he'll be very disappointed with that. And Josh Mickelmore's put it sideways coming down the front straight. And I noticed Matt Clowett brushing it along the wall there on his lap as well. So the guy's pushing it nice and hard here, but not having a lot of luck with getting a decent lap out of it at the moment. Still got a few people to run. Joshua Carroll Walden on a 23.944. Dwayne Preece has pulled out a 23.603. So that puts him on provisional pole as Dave Douglas gets it loose and sideways. Oh, a bit of action, a bit of an adrenaline rush there, Bernie.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I tell you, one guy that's grinning from ear to ear at the moment is Dwayne Preece. He's set provisional pole, 23.604. We can see Riley Curtis out here, 13th quickest at the moment. He'll be digging deep to see if he can improve on that position for the number 93 as he's coming through now. He should be completing his final lap, and we'll see if he can get this car into the top 10.
Yeah, pretty happy to see Roger Clark up in provisional 3rd at the moment as well. Bernie, 23.640. So Roger's managed to get a pretty decent lap, although Thomas Hinds just popped him back a spot as Thomas slips into provisional 3rd with a 23.616.
Yeah, so Riley, he's finished his run, so that pretty much ends qualifying. I'm just having a look through the field. We've still got a number of cars that have not come out. Now, they've pretty much got 10 minutes here, folks, to set these laps. You can see Edward Foster, he's out there at the moment, but he's pretty much done as far as I can tell. Maybe he's not. Maybe he is on this starting his fast run now.
Yeah, he could be. I'm just looking at some of the names yet to run, but there's still a long way to go. I'm surprised how many guys actually came out early in the session. Quite a few tend to wait until the last few minutes, and most of them come out in the first few minutes. So we'll see how things go as we check out who we got on camera there at the moment. Bernie, is it Edward?
Yeah, we've got Edward Foster on there at the moment. And while we were talking there, Josh Mickelmore jumped to the top with a 23.441, pushing Dwayne Priest down. But let's see what the 53 can do. First lap through, here's Steve, 5th fastest.
Yeah, nice lap from Edward, but he'll just be getting ahead of steam up, so we'll see what he can do with the second lap. 23.748 for his first qualifying lap, Bernie.
Yeah, it looks definitely like that second lap is quicker, doesn't it? As he comes across them now, does he improve? He did a 23.757. He does not improve and makes a liar out of me, Steve.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he made a liar out of himself. He probably expected to do a little better on the second lap, but look, that's fine. I mean, he's provisionally 5th place. Still got a couple of guys to run. Jason Martin's yet to actually qualify tonight, as well as Darren McKenzie, Stephen Williams, I'm not seeing a time for, and Daniel Stevens as well.
Yeah, and at the moment we've got James Zeitz and the number 19 on camera here, folks. He's about to start his run here. Just having a look. Yeah, he should be starting his run now. 25.232, first time by, and that's only good for 12th quickest. Let's see if he can improve that on the second lap.
Yeah, that's not a bad line. It didn't look like he was carrying a whole lot of speed there, so maybe the car doesn't feel quite right to him on the track. He uses the entire width of the track going from one side to the other as he comes back around on his second lap, and we'll see what he picks up.
Yeah, so still the only 12th fastest here for the number 19. A few guys I was expecting fast out of the box, they're struggling a little bit, and hopefully the track's going to come to them as this race progresses. Otherwise, we could be in with an interesting race here.
Oh, yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting race either way, Bernie. Yeah, look, the guys got bitten a bit around the walls, etc., and how easy it is to actually have the rear end step out on you at this track in certain spots. And I think they wanted to go as hard as they could, but they did want to register a time, and that's what they've successfully done. With the race in front of them, we'll see how it pans out.
Oh, as we see Jason Martin in the number 21 get it all kinds of loose air, gathers it up, keeps it off the wall. Good driving. It's not going to help his lap time much, but he's on his first flying lap. That car, Steve, it looks loose as.
Yeah, Jason's got a fair bit of speed in that car. Loose as fast, as they say. But Jason's slipped into provisional pole with a 23.330, Bernie, so it certainly didn't hurt him. He's actually managed to get the time out of it.
Yeah, I'm surprised, but what can this guy, what can they do to stop this guy? He's like a steamroller, isn't he? All season, he's just been going out and laying down these crazy lap times, and then when we come to racing, people of all sorts of calibre have tried to hunt him down, burning up his tyres, but this guy is an absolute master when it comes to NASCAR racing.
He knows his stuff. There's no two ways about it, and nobody can really dispute that. I mean, we've got a really strong front row at this stage with Jason Martin and Josh Mickelmore, and I don't see any reason to believe that'll change, Bernie. So we'll see Jason and Josh side by side off the start of this one, and that's going to be a cracker.
And you can see Darren McKenzie now coming out in the 08 to start his run. He said in the chat channel there he's having a big glass of Chivas Regal. Well, I tell you what, they must pay him a fortune because we don't get that up here, do we?
No, mate, yeah, we're lucky to get Pepsi Max,
Yeah, well, I'm drinking water, I think, so you're living the high life here. Let's see what Darren can do anyway. Quite an exciting driver, and we'll see where he goes. Generally starts up the back, and generally trouble seems to find him. So let's hope he has a good run here tonight at Dover.
Yeah, I said we'd be lucky to get Pepsi Max, mate. I'm on the water as well, so I don't think either of us are lucky tonight. But Yeah, interesting comment there. James Foster in the chat. Martin fastest, how unusual. Yeah, pretty much sums it up.
Then 15th fastest for the 08, starting his second lap now. And we'll see if he can improve. He's probably sipping that expensive drink while he's doing this lap, you know.
Yeah, we got Jake Maloney in there as well. He hasn't run a real good time on that one though, Bernie. 24.422. So we may end up seeing Jake pull one of his reappearing tricks from the back of the field again tonight.
Yeah, well, he tends to come from the rear, doesn't he? And he tends to like that going through the traffic. But Darren McKenzie, 14th fastest. He's going to start pretty much towards the back of the grid here because we've got 17 drivers starting here tonight. We're still waiting for a few drivers to come out, and or have they all completed? I think they've completed now.
Everybody's recorded a time except Stephen Williams, Bernie.
Okay, and he's just going to run out of time because we're lining up now for the race, and he's going to have to do it the hard way from the back of this grid.
Well, I believe it was Stephen Williams actually put it into the wall earlier. It might have been on his timed lap, and he's just opted to finish to start at the rear of the grid, obviously.
Okay, so we can see now the cars are starting to line up, folks. So let's go through the grid so you can see where your favourite driver will be starting tonight. So on the front row, we have Jason Martin. He's set the fastest time, 23.331. He's got Josh Micklemore in the number 2 starting on the outside of him. Looking back to the second row is Dwayne Priest in the 777 starting on the inside. He's got Thomas Hines on the outside of him. As we move to the third row here, we have Roger Clark starting out of 5th, and he's got his mate Edward Foster in the 53 starting next to him in 6th position. Back to the 4th row, Riley Curtis will start out of 7th and Dave Douglas out of 8th. 5th row tonight, Phil Otto in the number 1. He's going to start on the inside of Mirko Dortnack. As we move back to the 6th row, we have Daniel Stevens out of 11th, and he's joined on the grid by Joshua Carroll Walden. As we move further back, we have Matt Clowett in 13th, Darren McKenzie in the 08 in 14th. James Zeitz in the number 19, he will start out of 15th. Jake Maloney 16th. Stephen Williams, he will round out your field of 17 drivers here at Dover.
Yeah, it's a good, strong field again, Bernie. Interesting to see all 3 of the RCD cars, the Riley Curtis designed motorsport cars, 6th, 7th and 8th. And of course 2 of those in 6th and 7th, 6th and 8th were our positions 1 and 2 from the podium last week. So being Edward Foster and of course Dave Douglas finished 1-2 for RCD last week. So Riley be happy we brought that up again.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting race tonight. We have 1 and 2 in the point score starting out of positions 1 and 2. Now, the question I've got for you, Steve, you'd be able to answer this more succinctly than me. Is there any chance that Josh Micklemore can wrestle this championship from the 21?
Yeah. It'll really come down to how they finish tonight. One or the other would have to have great luck or bad luck. But at this stage, I think it's still a possibility, but it will depend on where Jason Martin finishes.
Yeah, well, we've got underway here at Dover, folks. 160 laps here. Jason Martin put the foot down, got it a bit wiggly off the line. That's my technical term, yes it is, and he started to gather it up. Josh Micklemore, he was a bit slow off the line, but he's starting to hunt down that 21 now. It's going to be interesting to see what the 2 can do. The field spread out very much here. 52, Thomas Hines in 3rd, 4th, Roger Clark, and now we're getting back to the train, and that's starting with the 93, Riley Curtis, Dave Douglas in the 10, and Mirko Dortnack in the 62. Round out your top 7.
Yeah, no, you're going to see the train for a while. We actually saw it the other night as well in the trucks for a while until the field spread out. We're probably going to get this for quite some time. Roger Clark sitting in 4th, then Riley, then Dave Douglas, Mirko Dortnack, Phil Otto in 8th, Joshua Carroll Walden 9th, Daniel Stevens rounds out the top 10 with James Zeitz, then Edward Foster back to 12th. So he's lost a few positions there on the start, I think, Bernie. Matt Clowett 13th, Darren McKenzie 14th, Stephen Williams 15th, Jake Maloney 16th, and I'm not seeing Dwayne Priest with a position there.
Yeah, Dwayne did not make the start. It looks like his run, he was looking promising in qualifying, so the pit crew mustn't have been able to turn that car around. It'd be interesting if we can get a word from him, find out what the go is with that car. But at the moment, Jason Martin is setting the fastest laps here with Josh Mickelmore trying to hunt him down. Thomas Hinds, he's going with him. Then there's a massive gap back to Roger Clark.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on a little bit further back in the field at the moment. We've got Dave Douglas, Phil Otto, Joshua Carroll Walden, and Daniel Stevens, and they're battling each other there for everything between 8th and 11th, I think it is.
Yeah, that's right, because the 19 is in 11th, but first caution has come out here, folks, at Dover. We'll see if I think I found the problem here. It's the 54, it's looking like it's been bricked, and I think that's the short back and sides you normally run here, Steve.
Yeah, well, it certainly was the other night, that's for sure. But yeah, poor old Matt Clowett, he's had a bit of a coming together with the track itself. And he's still mobile though. He's heading around the track, but that has brought out our first caution. So that's going to bunch him up a little bit. And we eagerly await the restart, Bernie.
Yeah, well, we're bringing the replay up now, folks, to have a close look at this. We'll go to super slow-mo as we always do and try to work this out. He was on the inside of the 53. And that's Edward Foster. Edward into the wall, and he rebounded and caught the 54. As we can see, the 54 had absolutely nowhere to go. Straight into that inside wall. That car's going to spend a heck of a long time in the pits, and this is where Dover is so unforgiving, Steve.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a little bit surprised at the moment, though, Bernie. The leaders have all pitted. I mean, we're still only a few laps in, and really, there are going to be more cautions. There are going to be more opportunities to pit. But the guys have gone in to top up the fuel. Some of them will throw fresh rubber on. Some of them might only throw a couple of tyres on. But I'm a little bit surprised at that. Jason Martin came in. I think Josh Mickelmore came in. But yeah, very surprised at that. I thought they might have stayed out and wait for the next one.
Yeah, well, the person that did not come in, the only one, well, there was two there. The only one, Darren McKenzie, he stayed out. Now he's coming in. Dwayne Priest is also out there in the 17, in the 777, sorry. So he's got that car started. He's 6 laps down, but he's bringing that car back in. So that will mean Josh Mickelmore is going to lead the field away when we go back under green. He's got Thomas Hinds behind him. They both jumped Jason Martin, who's now back in third position. So a bit of work for the pit crew to try to improve that. But I tell you what, if you can jump them in the pits, it's probably the easiest pass you're ever going to make here at Dover tonight.
Yeah, well, what's actually a little bit more confusing than those that did pit on that caution straight away was Dwayne Priest back in the pits. Whether he's, I don't know, I can't explain that. He's only just gotten out there. He's only 6 laps down, and it's a long way to go. And considering how many of these guys will have an incident and spend either a long time in the pits or end their night, don't write Dwayne Priest off just yet.
Yeah, 6 laps, so is a big ask out of 152 laps remaining.
Not if the 8 cars in front of you all fall over.
All right, let's see how it goes. But we're just waiting for the restart here. I'm trying to work out. Let's go to a wide shot here because it's all sorts of shuffled now. So Thomas Hinds will lead them off here, and Jason Martin behind him in second. Third, Roger Clark. Fourth, Mirko Dortnack. Fifth, Riley Curtis. Sixth, Dave Douglas. The reason why I'm a little bit lost here, Josh Mickelmore, it looks like he's left the server.
Good question, actually, Bernie, and he's just dropping like a rock in a pond down through the order there, actually.
Yeah, the telemetry tells me he's not in the server, so he must have got a timeout. And I tell you what, that is devastating for the number 2. And we'll see if he rejoins or if that's the end of his run here tonight. But Thomas Hins, he's going to start on the outside with Jason Martin starting on the inside. Pace car lights are out here, folks. We're going to go racing very shortly, and we'll see what action comes our way.
Well, that certainly answers your question from earlier, Bernie, because I don't think we're going to see Josh give any real threat to Jason Martin out of this race.
No, definitely not. I think that's his night done. He's not back in the server. So, it's one of those things, isn't it, with internet connection. We say it week in, week out. We see it quite a bit, and it's just one of those unforeseen glitches that sim racers have to live with. But here we go. Thomas Hins going to lead them away. He goes now. Jason Martin is going with him. Roger Clark on the outside of Mirko Dortnack. He will slot into third as he comes down on the track now to wedge his way in. He's got to be careful though, because Mirko is right on that rear fender.
Oh, great start by Thomas Hins. Jason Martin's managed to pull back the gap a fair bit now, but great start from Thomas Hins. He really nailed that.
Yeah, he had an awesome start, didn't he? And he did it perfectly. Mirko Dortnack at the moment, he's got the 93. Riley Curtis breathing down his neck. Riley is looking strong in that 93, just using the midline and just trying to probably conserve those tyres, but then the train goes through. Tell you what though, Riley there got it a little bit loose coming off turn 2 there.
Yeah, it is a train. It's a really fast train, Bernie, but we've got a bit of a gap back from 4th to 5th. That's obviously, as you were saying, that's Mirko back to Riley. And Riley's got all sorts of things going on at the moment. He's got his hands full with just looking at Joshua Carroll Walden, it is, making Riley sit up and take notice as Thomas Hins continues to lead them around. Jason Martin followed by Roger Clark up to 3rd, with Mirko Dortnack in 4th, and then Riley, and then Joshua Carroll Walden. Dave Douglas sitting in 7th at the moment, and Phil Otto sitting up there in, 9th place. A little bit of a reshuffle there.
Yeah, I think Phil might be just working that car out. The last lap through, he bounced it off the outside wall there, and he's dropping positions. He's dropped 2. He's now coming under threat from the 98. And as you can see, he's not really trying to defend. So I have a feeling that car is carrying a bit of damage, and we'll see how long the 1 stays out.
Yeah, I can't tell how much damage he might be carrying, but Joshua Carroll Walden, I'm not quite sure what he was doing there, but he went from the outside straight to the inside and then slowly went back to the outside again. So maybe he got a little bit of wheel spin there, a little bit loose coming through the turn, not really sure, but he's back up to full pace again now, and he's got his hands full there. Dave Douglas, I could see back there a little bit. Darren McKenzie, Edward Foster back up to 11th. There's gaps all over the place and in groups of 2, 3 or 4 at the moment, Bernie.
Yeah, and for the fans of Josh McCummore, he has rejoined the server. He is 7 laps down, but he's out there circulating. Dwayne Crease, 6 laps down. You can see him working the back of the 19 of James Zeitz now, trying to get through the field. A lot of work ahead for the 777. For the fans of Matt Clowett, after that big hit, he's back out there. The car's looking a little bit remodelled. I guess that's a new look of a Camry.
A little bit of body modification. As we see Dwayne Priest, he's working all over the back of the 19 car there. That's Zeitz, and ahead of them is, I believe, Edward Foster. Yeah,
in the 53. And we'll see what Edward can do. He has had a really good run, hasn't he? He's taken a win in one of these, and he'll be hungry. It's still a long way to go, 19 out of 160, but at the moment, Thomas Hins, he's been leading since a restart. Lap 19 here, folks. Jason Martin, though, is breathing down his neck, and we'll see if Jason's hungry to take the lead or if he's happy to sit in behind.
Yeah, I think he's just going to wait for his opportunity. When the chance comes, he'll take it for sure. But he also knows that Thomas is not going to be a pushover to get past. There's a fair bit of respect between these guys, and anybody who even watches, let alone races in this series, knows that Thomas knows what he's about. That restart was not a fluke. He knows what he's doing, and Jason's just going to sit there with him. He knows you can comfortably keep with him, and as the chance and the opportunity arrives, that's when Jason will make his move. But he won't get silly about it. This is not a track where you want to get silly and do something really crazy.
Oh, exactly right. And I'll tell you what, the speeds they're hitting here, folks, as you can see in the telemetry, 267 k's down that straight and 220 k's through the corners. So they're carrying a heck of a lot of speed here. As we see now, Jason Martin just showing his nose on the inside. Is he going to make a move? No, he's not. And this is where he's going to have to be very cautious, isn't it, Steve?
Oh, yeah, the two of them are going to need to be careful, or they could end up finding themselves sitting in the pits. So that's what I mean. They both know what they're doing. There's a fair bit of respect between each other. And they both got a pretty good idea how the other one races. So there won't be a whole lot of fear factor in it with what's the other guy going to do, trying to second guess what he's going to do and what he's not going to do. But back in third place, Roger Clark's got his hands full and his mirrors full of Mirko Doubtnack at the moment. Mirko's looking for any way past Roger.
Yeah, Mirko's looking good, isn't he? As he's coming up on the inside now, showing his nose. What's Roger going to do? Well, he's going to have to go to the midline here because Mirko has managed to get underneath him, and he should move up to third position as the cameraman decides he's going to show the front of the car. Let's see if we go to an external shot, but that looked like a really nice, clean move.
Oh, it was a really nice move. Roger normally would have actually been down further on the low line, but I'd say his spotter let him know that Mirko was coming in alongside him, and he's done the smart thing and decided not to risk it. Whether he could see they had enough room or not, he's decided to just hold his line, and Mirko's taken advantage of that and moved through on him. And Roger's not given up though. There's a couple of car lengths between them now, but Roger's still ploughing away at it.
Tell you what, cast your eyes back to fifth position here, Steve, because I tell you what, that was Daniel Stevens making a move on Riley Curtis. Joshua Carroll-Walden now, he's going to follow through on the inside, and right behind them, Stephen Williams was getting it all kinds of loose out the back there, but at the moment, Daniel Stevens makes that move on Riley. Riley defends from Joshua, but check out the number 98. He's going to have a crack on the inside.
Yeah, Stephen Williams is on a bit of a flyer. He's taken Joshua Carroll-Walden, but Joshua Carroll-Walden's going to try and take that position back coming down this back straight. But no such luck, and Stephen Williams picks up the position, and he's going to head off after Riley Curtis now. Joshua Carroll-Walden coming back at Stephen Williams again.
Yeah, we're looking out of the bumper cam there of Joshua Carroll-Walden. You can just see the way that Mustang is connecting to the track, and here he goes on the outside. He's getting a really good launch off those corners.
And while these guys are battling it out, they've got Dave Douglas moving up on them, so he's taking advantage of the fact that they're all trying to race and drive defensively, and he's really got nothing to lose in this battle. So we've got a pack of four. Three on the outside on the high line, and Stephen Williams has taken Riley Curtis.
Yeah, and here comes Joshua Carroll-Walden. Let's see if he can make this move. Tell you what, Curtis on the outside there is holding his own. Now he lets that position fold. The 35 now having a crack at him. No, he doesn't. He cuts across the nose and says, "Thank you very much. I want my track back."
Yeah, but Dave Douglas has actually smelled blood in the water, and he's actually taken a little bit of a bite out of Joshua Carroll-Walden's spot there. Riley Curtis is still there in front of Dave Douglas, and Dave Douglas looks like he's made the pass, but Joshua Carroll-Walden comes back through the turn, and as they hit the back straight, that's actually the front straight, sorry, Dave Douglas takes the position, and he just about makes it. Here's Joshua Carroll-Walden not backing off, and he's just nosed in front now, Dave Douglas, and they're really seesawing. It's a bit of an arm wrestle down there, Bernie.
certainly is. We're riding with Joshua Carroll Walden here, and you could see Dave Douglas there on the high line taking that position back. This is also bringing Phil Otto into play in the number one. We saw him sliding back. He's looking like he's getting that car sorted, and he's continuing on. Meanwhile, up front, though, it's the Thomas Hinds show, and Jason Martin is still shadowing him in the number 21.
Yeah, the two of them will go at it for a while, and it's going to be interesting to see if they continue to battle the way they are, for the guys further back in the pack are doing it. Then that'll give everybody else a chance to really close the gap a bit. But Phil Otto's just basically doing what Dave Douglas did earlier, and he's just letting the three of those guys in front of him battling out while he's got nothing to lose, and all he's got to do is catch up with them. So he's only got himself to race at the moment, and he's got him close enough that if anything goes wrong, Phil Otto's in a position to take care of it.
Yeah, and I tell you what, these guys are starting to race for sheep stations, aren't they? The 10, that is Dave Douglas, Riley Curtis in the 93, Joshua Carroll Walden now on the outside in the 35. He couldn't make it on the inside, but he has made it on the outside of that 93. He moves up to 8th position.
Yeah, and Phil Otto all over the back of Riley Curtis now, who just lost that position to Joshua Carroll Walden. And Joshua Carroll Walden has actually put nearly 2 car lengths on Riley Curtis already. So I'm wondering whether Riley's actually suffering from a bit of tyre wear.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he was making them work for it though, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, no, he never gave up for a minute. I mean, at no point did Riley just give up the spot. They had to work for it, they had to fight for it and earn it. And that's what Riley does. He just makes them work for it. And he's a great racer, and he's great in the pack. He loves to race side by side and nose to tail. As Phil Otto's still got his eyes on the back of Riley Curtis's 93 car, and at the same time, Joshua Carroll Walden not getting away from Riley. Riley's still pushing to get all the way back up onto the rear bumper of Joshua Carroll Walden. And yeah, the gap at this point, though, while this is going on, Dave Douglas is pulling away and just making that gap larger and larger to make it even harder for them to get back the position from him.
Yeah, and you can just see from some of those camera shots there, folks, how hard these guys are pushing off the corner. You can just see how loose they're getting as a 93 once again goes up and just misses collecting that or kissing the wall. And as we've seen previously, a little kiss like that can end up taking a big bite out of your car.
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't take a whole lot as Josh Micklemore now passes Phil Otto, and he's about to make a move on Riley Curtis as he tries to fight his way back up through the field, still 7 laps down, but as he makes his way through the field, he improves his chances of a lucky dog, as he's actually made the pass on Riley Curtis now, and he's heading off after Joshua Carroll Walden.
And Riley Curtis now, he's trying his luck. I tell you what, he's kissed the wall in that corner as Josh Micklemore went through, and he also kissed the wall on the exit. Into the wall he goes again. I'd say the pit crew are going to be looking at that car and no doubt pulling him in.
Yeah, he'll probably get the call shortly for tyres because it looks like he's suffering a lack of speed. And around this track, the aero and downforce is certainly not as important as it would be on a longer track, like a 2-miler or a super speedway. So all I can surmise from that is that he's suffering a bit of tyre wear. Some of these other guys have looked after their tyres a little bit better, but he's had to battle, he's had to fight. I mean, he's staved off about 4 or 5 cars, so if his tyres have worn a bit and all that, it's perfectly understandable, and that would also explain him kissing the wall once or twice.
Yeah, and I tell you what, he's not letting that worry him one bit as he goes to battle now with the 53 right behind him, though. We just saw Jake Maloney into the wall he goes. He's dropped a position and he continues on, but we've been seeing a little bit on that, haven't we, on the exit here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's it's not a great corner. You've got to be careful, and the harder you battle, the more chance there is that you're going to struggle to keep it down low or even mid-track, and that's when you've really got to be careful. Bit uncharacteristic for Jake Maloney to do that, but at the same time, I see him spending a lot of time mid-track and up high. Maybe he's suffering a bit of tyres as well. If we don't get a caution soon, I think we're going to start to see some green flag pit stops, because guys like Riley Curtis and a couple of the others, I'm guessing they're pretty close to needing some rubber, and they're getting a little bit loose and they're having trouble holding that low line, Bernie.
Yeah, and when they get loose, it generally means we could be seeing a caution if one of them gets too loose. But let's have a look at your top 10 as they stand at the moment, folks. So we'll bring these up. So at the moment, you can see Thomas Hinds, he is still being shadowed by the 21. That's Jason Martin in second. As you can see on the screen, a massive gap back to Mirko Dortmund of 4.6 seconds. But he's out there by himself. And then we go back to Roger Clark. He's sitting in fourth, 1.3 seconds behind Mirko. Sitting in fifth is Stephen Williams. And Stephen is battling it out at the moment with Daniel Stevens on the high line. That's a 66, and they continue at that fight. Looking back at 10th, that is Dave Douglas in 7th position, and he's being passed now by Joshua Micklemore, who is not racing for position. In 7th is Joshua Carroll Walden, 8th Phil Otto in the number 1, and 9th is the 53, that's Edward Foster. And then Darren McKenzie, he's just got past Riley Curtis, who's struggling, and that is your top 10.
Yeah, a lot of small battle going on out there. I'm seeing Jason Martin, all on his own out there now. So what was it you said happened with Thomas Hinds? Did he pit, did he?
That's what I'm looking at now. He's actually back out there. I've got him that he did not pit. So I'm going to go back and see if there's been an issue with him, because all of a sudden he is down in 14th position, which makes me think he did pit. But let's go back and have a look.
Yeah, not really sure. I didn't actually see him pit. All I noticed all of a sudden was that Jason Martin's out there on his own and no Thomas Hinds. So that white car just seemed to disappear towards the back of the field, Bernie. So any light you can shine on that, I'm sure we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to go back here, but the telemetry is not playing. He's now down a lap. So the number 52 is in all sorts of trouble here, folks. But let's have a look at this. I've got the replay back, and we've got Jason Martin chasing him down. We'll just stay with this, and we'll see exactly what's happened. But the only thing I can think, Steve, is he's had a spin.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Bernie. I mean, my telemetry is actually telling me he's just gone 2 laps down. So he's gone an extra lap now, so he's 2 laps down. The only thing I can assume is that maybe he's brushed the wall and gotten loose, and most of the fielders have managed to pass him. I'm not sure how he would manage to get 2 laps. Well, he's 3 laps down now, according to this.
Okay, that answers it. He's actually got internet connection problems. He flashed out, and that's why we couldn't find the replay, but he's in all sorts of trouble. He's the second driver tonight with internet connection issues. He's gone 4 laps down. He's left the server. The other one we saw get bitten earlier by that gremlin is Josh Micklemore in the number 2. He was fighting it out with Jason Martin, and I don't know, call it coincidence, or has Jason just found some sort of new weapon that he can discharge on these cars that sends them off into the cloud?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. Maybe he's doing the pilot test program for the AI or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so Thomas Hinds, folks, for the fans out there, looks like he's not going to come back in at the moment. He's gone 5 laps down and he's sliding backwards. The other cars are trying to get their laps back. Dwayne Priest, another mystery. He did not make the start. I wonder if he's had internet connection issues as well. He is 6 laps down and trying to make his way back. And as I said, Josh Micklemore in the number 2, he is 7 laps down and working hard to try to get some sort of points out of tonight.
Yeah, I was really doubtful that Thomas Hinds had an incident because we had no caution. And any incident that would have put you that far back in the field and a lap or 2 down straight away surely would have brought a caution. So I really wasn't sure what had happened, but that certainly explains it. Technical issue like that, there's not a lot you can do about it. Racing at the front in first place 1 minute and yeah, the race is basically gone. The next, it's a bit of a shame, Bernie.
Yeah, it'd be darn frustrating. That's what it would be. But yeah, so Thomas looks like he's our first retirement here tonight. So now all of a sudden, Jason Martin, he's 6.2 seconds out on Mirko Dortnack. That's grown to 6.5 seconds. So the number 62 there. Now 3 seconds down the track is Roger Clark. Roger's having an awesome drive here tonight. And one person we don't see out there tonight, folks, is Norman Clark. Now, I think that's because Norman's gone and taken a well-earned holiday and probably enjoying having a few beers. Maybe he's tuning in. If you are, Norman, I hope you're having a great time.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate not to enjoy Norman's racing out there tonight. I hope Norman's well, and it's just simply another commitment that's kept him away tonight. We're also not seeing Danny G out there, Bernie. Danny's actually been given a life sentence and he signed his life away yesterday.
What, did he go and get married or something?
I believe that's what happened, yeah.
Man, you should have sent him to me. I could have told him what happens when you do something like that.
I heard the Bucks party was pretty good though, so anyway.
Yeah, that's when it starts.
Yeah, well, I suppose he had to now. He's got the rest of his life and he's got to do what he's told. But anyway, as we continue with the racing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the pace of this race tonight, folks, we only have 10 on the lead lap. Jake Maloney, he's the last one on the lead lap at the moment. And I'm assuming the reason these guys are going a lap down is they're pitting. So that's the 98. Looks like he's taken service. So has the 93. You can see now he's looking a lot better as he works on the inside of Phil Otto. James Wright's also taken to the pits. And I tell you what, when they pit here, Steve, it's looking like they're going down about 2 laps.
It doesn't take a whole lot here with race laps somewhere in the 23s, 24s. By the time you leave, get into the pits, do your pit stop and get out, you're a lap down. That's it, end of story. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, that's when you pray that a caution does not come out. We've seen that Dave Douglas, didn't we, a few rounds ago. He pitted under green. He was the only one that did, and then the caution came out and he did not recover from that.
Yeah, it's very hard to get back from, even on a long track, but around a track like this, it's damn near impossible to pick that up unless you get lucky with the lucky dog. But in order to do that, you've got to be the first car a lap down, and at the moment, that is now Jake Maloney, who's just gone a lap down, apparently.
Yeah, he has. Jason Martin's doing what he does best, and that is just putting in blistering times without doing that to his tyres. He's about to round up Dwayne Crease next, and as he's going on the outside, Dwayne's just stepping aside, letting him through. And behind Jason, though, is the 98, and that is Stephen Williams. Stephen's now making a move on Jason, and that must be fresh tyres because that car is hooked up and it's moving forward.
Yeah, he needs to though, Bernie, because Stephen Williams currently 2 laps down, so all he's trying to do at the moment is unlap himself. So Jason didn't even bother putting in a fight. As Jason Martin, their race leader, now enters the pits, Bernie.
Yeah, he locks it up on pit entry there to get it down to speed. And for those new to NASCAR racing, these guys do not have pit limiters. So they are working very, very hard, aren't they, to make sure that they don't only communicate to the pit crew, but they're making sure that car does not go over the pit limit.
Yeah, and the penalty will bite you hard if you actually make a mistake. You've only got to go a couple of miles per hour over. As the inherited race leader, Mirko Dortnack, he now pits as well. So this is the whole batch. We're going to see a slew of... Mirko locks it up, gets a little bit loose just after entering the pits. I hope that's not going to hurt him. But, yeah, look, we're going to see it now. Green flag pit stops. The guys got their act together. No cautions for a while. And, in fact, I think it's been, we've had about, 40 or 50 laps without a caution period, Bernie.
Yeah, it was looking a bit daunting, wasn't it, on lap 16 and when the first ones came out, but it's been green ever since, and the guys are doing a great job. I'm just having a look at Jason Martin here and to see if he's gone down any laps during that pit stop, and he has. He dropped a lap on the pits, so that sort of evens the cars out a little bit. Dave Douglas in the number 10 though, he takes the lead and he's yet to pit. Right behind him in the 35 is Joshua Carroll-Walden. Then we've got Edward Foster in the 53. He's been rounded up by Jason Martin, who now has fresh tyres, and as we always say, fresh tyres rules, and he's just now rounding up Joshua Carroll-Walden. He'll be unlapping himself very soon, as just up ahead of them is Dave Douglas.
Yeah, look, I'm expecting to see Dave pull in maybe next time around. He's just allowed Thomas Zeitz and who's that? Phil Otto actually passed him fairly easily without putting up any kind of a fight whatsoever. So Jason Martin now takes Dave Douglas as Dave moves down to the low line, and I'm expecting to see him pull into the pits because he really didn't even put up a fight when Phil Otto and James Zeitz passed him. So I'm not quite sure. Now Stephen Williams has passed him quite easily. So Dave Douglas really does need to get in and get some fresh rubber on that car, Bernie.
Yeah, he does. I was going to say, if he was going to go in last time, he got held out there by the 98 that was on the inside of him. And I'll get your opinion on this, Steve. We've seen both Jason Martin and we saw Mirko Dortnack there lock it up coming onto pit road. How tricky is that entry here?
You tend to come in there at a fairly decent rate of knots. That's why I touched on it pre-race, because that pit entry, you come in there quite quickly. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a tricky entry, but you've really got to have your mind on what you're doing. Because the problem is getting in and out quickly, because they're pitting under green. So they're trying to carry as much speed in there as possible, but all of a sudden you're going to have to drop to, 35 miles per hour or something. So you're on the brakes. And the problem that I think we saw with Mirko particularly is that when he did that, to suddenly drop the speed, as they do in V8 supercars entering the pits, he just simply locked it up and just got a little bit loose and out of shape, but he managed to keep it off the wall, get it straightened up, and he got his pit stop done, and he's back out there again.
Yeah, we just saw there, while you're talking about that, the 53 there rounded up Joshua Carroll-Walden. Dwayne Priest has got some speed back in the 777 as he continues to push ahead. It looks like now we've also lost Matthew Clowett. He is 16th, 3 laps down, but Thomas Hinz, he's rejoined the server and he's 18 laps down but circulating.
Yeah, from 8th position back are all off the lead lap now. It's only the leading 7 cars that are on the lead lap. Mirko Doutnak, after that pit stop, is a lap down, sitting in 8th. And then we've got Roger Clark, who must have pitted, and he's a lap down in 9th. Daniel Stevens, 1 down in 10th. Riley Curtis, 1 down in 11th. James Zeitz, 1 down in 12th. These guys have all obviously only just pitted. Phil Otto has just pitted, and he's a lap down in 13th. Then we strike Josh Mickelmore, 6 down in 14th. Dwayne Priest, 8 down in 15th after that horror start with the technical issue and not actually making the start grid. And it looks like our 2 retirements of Matt Clowett and Thomas Hinz is taking up 16th and 17th, Bernie.
Yeah, and Thomas is out there circulating at the moment, 18 laps down. So he's come back to the server. I didn't think we were going to see him back tonight because that would have been a bit uphill. As we can see now, Dave Douglas comes into the pits to take service here. He'll go down a lap, and that's okay because it'll even out the rest of the field. Once these this pit cycle goes through, sorry folks, I'll definitely update you on where they all stand. But at the moment, it's all over the place, isn't it?
Oh yeah, look, they're still a bit mixed up. That's why we've got so many guys a lap down. Green flag pit stops. The guys hung out there as long as they could. Some of them took the chance to go in straight away. But what I've noticed is we've got Joshua Carroll-Walden in the pits. Dave Douglas is in the pits. So, yeah, and look, to be honest, it's not impossible to pull back a decent position and grab points, and that's what it's all about. Good on Thomas Hinds for rejoining. He's sorted his issue out, and he's rejoined the race, and he'll be going for as many points as possible. I think he's fully aware that a position at the pointy end is out of the question now, being 18 laps down, but anything's possible. I mean, look, I had my incident Monday night here in the truck on a lap 14 or 15. I spent 70-something laps in the pits, came out, just drove it around as best I could, kept out of everybody's way because I knew I was too many laps down, and I brought it home in 10th position because of other retirements. So anything's possible.
Well, exactly right, especially at Dover, that's for sure. As we can see now, Mirko rounding up Joshua Carroll-Walden here as Joshua now starts to get this car back up to speed, and I think that's a 53. But Joshua Carroll-Walden now gets up to speed very quickly. He's got Mirko on the outside of him, and I'm not sure if these two are racing for position or not, but now we've got Jason Martin leading the race. Darren McKenzie in the 08. He's in second. He is yet to pit that car. Then we've got Jake Maloney in third. He is also yet to pit the number 29. And he just got passed by Stephen Williams, who moves up to that position. Then we've got Mirko Dortonak fifth, and sixth is Roger Clark.
Yeah, Mirko was actually racing Stephen Williams and Roger Clark for position, so Mirko's picked up that lap again now and sits himself on the lead lap, and according to my telemetry he's in fifth place. Roger Clark in sixth behind him, but not literally behind him on the track, I don't actually think.
Yeah, he's separated by probably about 3 seconds at the moment. We'll bring up the battle pack and we'll have a look at that. Yeah, 1.3 seconds is that gap.
Yeah, I see Mirko making a move on Josh Mickelmore, who's still trying to make his way through the field and pick up some of the laps, but the problem being it's impossible to pick up those laps if there are no caution periods. You have to pit under green, you've got to race under green. You can't race for position 7 laps down if there are no caution periods because it's all green. So unless you get a chance to pull a lap or two back on most of the guys in the field when they pit under green, it's going to be damn near impossible for Josh to really pick up most of those laps. What he needs is a caution period or two, get the lucky dog, something like that. The problem is he won't get the lucky dog because he's 7 laps down. So yeah, it's going to be an impossible task for him, but there are points in it. With one more round to go after this, he may still be able to salvage enough points out of this that if he can get a good run at Kansas next week, he could be a real threat in the championship. And it's not just the lead of the championship, there's a second and a third, so, you know.
Oh, exactly right, and that's why they continue to push ahead when they have these issues facing them. But yeah, Riley Curtis is 1 lap down in the 93. The reason he's on the screen, folks, he has the lucky dog if we go under yellow. But we've only got 6 on the lead lap. The last one on the lead lap is Roger Clark from Middle Finger Racing there in the 09.
With Jason Martin continuing to lead this one by about 11 seconds over Darren McKenzie, and then Stephen Williams third, and Mirko Dortonak fourth. I've got Jake Maloney coming in at 5th now, and Roger Clark in 6th position. They've just swapped positions again as they cross the line, with Riley Curtis, as Bernie was saying, the first of the lap down cars on 1 lap down, sitting in 7th position. Daniel Stevens behind him in 8th. Phil Otto, then James Zeitz, Edward Foster, Dave Douglas, Joshua Carroll-Walden. Those guys are all 1 lap down, so it is likely that they can pull that lap back. There are a bunch of cars there only 1 lap down, Bernie.
Yeah, we're just having a look at Jake Maloney there. Roger flew past him like he was standing still. And I'm just wondering if it's time for him to bring that car in to take service. I've got here, though, he's been in the pits 4 times tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but Jason Martin's blasting past him at the moment. Jake seems to be treating that car a little bit tenderly, but yeah, I mean, it says he's been in the pits 4 times, but I'm not so sure about that. I don't know whether there's something wrong with the telemetry, but he is now coming into the pits. Jake Maloney, car 29, into the pits. So we're going to see him grab some fresh rubber, and then he'll go back out and he'll give it a real good shake.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look. If we have a look at Jason Martin, just where is he? Cast
Yeah, Thomas
Sorry.
Hings has spun.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, just at the pit entry.
Let's go back and have a look at that. It did not bring out a yellow.
Yeah, I noticed that I was watching Jake Maloney into the pits. He's actually moved the car and still mobile, but he was facing the wrong way when I saw it. I think he's still having some connection issues because it looked like he blinked in and out. So that may be what caused that. But he was up against the inside wall facing the wrong direction when I saw him, as Jake Maloney completes his pit stop and heads back out to try and pull that lap back.
So we saw there, Thomas, he actually drove it up the track to get it into the pits. Now, what's that going to do? Is that going to give him a black flag, or is that like an instant disqualification?
I don't think it's an instant disqualification, but I'd be really interested to know as to whether iRacing have awarded him any kind of a penalty, because I don't know whether you can get away with that. Like, normally the iRacing will jump on you for that sort of thing, so I don't know whether he is going to have to leave, come back and serve a pit stop penalty or anything like that. I'm really not sure.
Okay. The other car that is in trouble, well, not in trouble, but Josh Mickelmore, a couple of laps ago, he was right up behind Jason Martin and closing, but he has dropped a long way back. So I wonder if something's happened to him as well.
Yeah, not too sure. I'm just trying to find him on track at the moment, but yeah, I mean, there's a big gap there, so he may have just gotten loose or something like that. He certainly hasn't dropped any further laps, and he's still sitting in 14th ahead of Dwayne Priest and Thomas Hins. So not really sure what might have happened. He may have just gotten loose, and that sort of widened the gap between Josh and whoever he was actually racing in front of him, which, according to my telemetry, positionally it's Jake Maloney, but I'm not sure who it was that's actually physically in front of him.
Yeah, well, he was chasing down Jason Martin at the time to get one of those laps back. And saying chasing down, they're probably separated by about 2 seconds, but that gap's a lot larger at the moment. But meanwhile, Jason Martin is doing what he does best and what he's been doing most of this season. He's leading and he's putting in these blistering laps. Last time through, 24.988. And apart from Joshua Carroll-Walden and Jake Maloney, he was the only car in the 24s.
Well, when you're 7 laps down, Bernie, 2 seconds, that's bumper to bumper, isn't it?
Yeah, probably would be. But, Stephen Williams is having a great run as well, isn't he? He's just ahead of Mirko Dortnack here. They're battling for position, 2nd and 3rd. But, yeah, the 98, it's coming good.
Oh, yeah, look, Stephen Williams, he's had a slow and steady night tonight, a little bit of tortoise and hare in the way he's approached this race. And he's just chipping away at it and gotten himself up into 7th place, partly through a consistent and controlled drive, and partly just because of what's going on around him. So this is what I meant before about being able to get a decent finishing position just by being able to be there and just see it through, as both Stephen Williams and Mirko Dortnack take Riley Curtis and move a little bit closer up. They're chasing down Jason Martin, but they've got Phil Otto, I think it is, in front of them here.
Yeah, and Phil Otto at the moment, he is 1 lap down, just ahead of them. He's actually battling it out at the moment with James Zeitz in the 19. And they are both racing here for position, so Phil's starting to look racy.
Yeah, Phil and James Zeitz racing for 10th position, and Riley Curtis back in 12th, but not physically behind them on the track. So ahead of James Zeitz is Joshua Carroll Walden, who still remains a lap down in 8th position, and he's actually chasing down Dave Douglas, who's sitting in 7th, Bernie.
Okay, so we'll bring that up, have a look at it, and yeah, you can see Dave there. He's got a wall of cars ahead of him. That looks like the 53. That's Edward Foster, the 66 there, and that is Daniel Stevens. They're both fighting for position, as now Dave Douglas, also fighting for position, takes Daniel Stevens. What's he going to do? Is he going to be able to catch the 53?
They're not, it's a different race in itself at the moment from what I can see, because actually they are actually 5, 6 and 7. They're all a lap down at the moment. As I start to see Roger Clark drop back a lap, the front three are the only cars on the lead lap at the moment, Bernie.
Yeah, it's showing the pace, isn't it? 104 laps of 160 here, folks. We've only had one caution. That was on lap 16. Green flag pit stops have been done, and they continue on. But I'll tell you what, Daniel Stevens got up into the wall. Him and Dave Douglas got together about a lap ago, and Daniel didn't have anywhere really to go, and that car floated up and just kissed the wall on exit.
Yeah, Joshua Carroll Walden is really trying to chase down Dave Douglas. They are actually racing for position. Ahead of them positionally is Edward Foster, and I think Edward is actually the car in front of Dave Douglas. So we've got 5, 6 and 7 and 8 all on the track there together. Actually, no, Riley Curtis is spoiling the party in there. He's actually sitting in the middle of it all. But definitely Edward, Dave and Joshua Carroll Walden, they are racing for position, those three cars.
Yeah, that's why we've got the cameras trained on these guys. And as we can see now, the 35, he's got to get past the 93 first. That's Riley Curtis 3 laps down. As I'll tell you what, Riley, he's not making it easy, is he? He's going back on the inside of Dave Douglas here, and he's decided he's got a car and he wants to keep on pushing forward.
Yeah, 3 laps down, who cares? I think Riley brushed the wall a little bit there, but yeah, he's pushing hard. He doesn't care about 3 laps down. He's racing. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, exactly right. And up front, we'll have a look here. Mirko Dortnack, he has closed in now on Stephen Williams for 2nd and 3rd. He's got Phil Otto behind him, but the race for 2nd and 3rd is on here, folks.
And Riley also takes a shot past Edward Foster, who's not too worried about letting the team owner pass by, because they are about 2 laps apart, as Edward's more concerned about Dave Douglas in the number 10 car, who's very slowly closing that gap to the 53 of Edward Foster, and they are racing for position. Joshua Carroll Walden is doing his best to catch Dave Douglas, because those 3 cars are battling currently for 5th, 6th and 7th.
Yeah, we can see there as Stephen Williams and Mirko Dortnack battling for 2nd and 3rd. The 52 Thomas Hins goes through, and that's allowed Mirko Dortnack to get a run on Stephen Williams here. He's on the inside, and Stephen Williams defends.
Yeah, we've got Phil Otto in amongst that group as well. Phil's actually a lap down in 9th position, and we've got Jason Martin all over the back of Phil Otto.
Yeah, so Jason's looking at putting these guys down a lap, and I tell you what, if he gets past these 2 on screen, the 98 and 62, he's going to be the only one on the lead lap. And the last time we saw that was at the Cup race, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so, actually. But yeah, look, there's every chance here with nearly 50 laps to go. Mirko just makes a mistake there and heads to the infield. He's not pitting. Yes, he is actually. Mirko Dortnack back into the pits again.
Okay, let's have a look at the replay of that, because that was a pretty sudden move from what it sounded like there.
It looked more like he made a boo-boo and then decided, well, I'm down here now, I'll pit. because obviously he's having tyre issues and discretion's the better part of valour. And so he's decided to just, I'm down this far, I'll go in.
Yeah, just going to have a look at this now.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
I was just going to say what that leaves, though. Stephen Williams is trying to fend off Jason Martin, because if Martin passes him, Stephen Williams will go down the lap, Bernie.
And he's about to do that because Martin's got an awesome drive off the corner. There's nothing Williams can do there. And the number 21 tonight is absolutely unstoppable as he now becomes the only car on the lead lap.
Yeah, look, Jason Martin is just really in the zone at the moment. This track, Stephen Williams dropping back another couple of spots. He may have some tyre issues as well.
Yeah, I'd say that putting him down a lap's probably taken the puff out of his sails a little bit. He was fighting pretty hard to try to stay there, but 46 laps remaining. There wasn't a hope in hell that was going to happen unless a yellow came out. The good news is, though, he is in the lucky dog position.
Yeah, he's still sitting second place and he's only one lap down, so he's the lucky dog if there is a caution. If not, he's still got to fend off Roger Clark. With Edward Foster, Dave Douglas and Joshua Carroll-Walden still coming hard. Daniel Stevens behind them. Then Phil Otto in 8th place now. Mirko Doutnak after that pit stop is 2 laps down in 9th place. Darren McKenzie in 10th, 3 laps down. And it's going to be awful tough from there, Bernie.
Definitely will be, and a bit of a shout out to Tip Top 114. Looks like he's come back to see the action here on RRTV after a while. He says, good old RRTV, good to see you guys still are up and running. So it's great to have you tuning in tonight.
We're not going anywhere, Bernie.
No, around the twist, but that's normal, I think, isn't it?
Look, I can't even say I'm going crazy. I arrived there years ago.
We just saw there the 08 get 1 lap back on Jason Martin. He's just letting him go by. No point fighting that's for sure. No,
it's just really no point at all. I mean, Jason Martin leading this race convincingly and easily, and he's the only car left on the lead lap at the moment. But having said that, there's 40 laps to go. And he's got to pit again at some point.
Yeah, that's right. And chances are they're going to pit under green. Riding here with Joshua Carroll-Walden, and he was trying to round up the car in front of him. That's 19 of Zeitz, but that was not full position. Here comes Mirko Doutnak. He's coming through as well. Mirko is in 9th position, 2 laps down, so he's also not racing for position. So as you said, leader in the pits, and who's that behind him? I think that's Stephen Williams, isn't it?
Yeah, Stephen Williams has followed Jason Martin in. So that advanced, that will... we'll see how quick Jason Martin gets out. The effective race leader at the moment is Roger Clark, with Edward Foster behind him, and that has put both of those guys onto the lead lap. They're no longer a lap down because they've just passed Jason Martin and picked that lap back up again. Dave Douglas, then Joshua Carroll-Walden rounds out the top 5. Jason Martin just about to get out of the pits as Edward Foster. Roger Clark must be pitting because he's just dropped down the order, Bernie.
Let's have a look here. Roger Clark, yes, he is indeed on pit road. He's about to take service now. Jason Martin's time was a 14.4 second stop. We've got the counter out here for Roger Clark now, and we'll see what sort of a stop his pit crew does. They of course have to change tyres on the right than the left. He comes out 15.667 was his stop.
A little bit slower than Jason Martin, but I've got a feeling that maybe Roger took 4 tyres, Jason maybe only took 2. That's the discrepancy I can see. I'm not too sure otherwise what would have caused that. But at the same time, I mean, Edward Foster effectively is now leading this race with Dave Douglas, then Joshua Carroll-Walden as your top 3. Jason Martin's rejoined still on the lead lap. and he's sitting fourth with Mirko Doutnak fifth back on the lead lap. So we've got 5 cars on the lead lap. Edward Foster, Dave Douglas, Joshua Carroll-Weldon, Jason Martin, Mirko Doutnak. It'd be interesting to see what Darren McKenzie and Stephen Williams can do. Roger Clark back out there, only a lap down. So you're going to see 3 or 4 guys really pushing hard now to get back on that lead lap, Bernie.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what, Steve, Dover is biting, as it always does. We've had a few more retirements. Jake Maloney, he's the latest one to park the 29. So that's the end of his run. Dwayne Priest in the 777 and Matthew Clout, here's our first retirement. Thomas Hines, we thought he had retired, but he's still circulating. He is now 29 laps down, but he's not going to give up. He's racing for as many points as he can possibly gather up here tonight.
Yep, and Edward Foster into the pits, Bernie.
Yeah, got him on screen here. So we'll see how that shapes up. But tell you what, Jason Martin, as you said, he pitted under green and still came out on the lead lap. He's now resumed taking the lead of this race.
Yeah, next time across the line it'll officially show him as that, because he's just passed Dave Douglas, who was the leader. So, yeah, look, he's just all over this track. He just one with the track, really is.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's just been amazing this season, hasn't he? If you look at his statistics, we'll have to dig them out for the final round here, but it's absolutely no fluke that he's leading this, because he's been doing this sort of performance week in and week out.
Oh, yeah, look, yeah, I really hate to sound like a fanboy, but just watching Jason Martin tonight, forget every other round, just the way he has driven tonight, he's just been the one to keep an eye on, because even when he pitted, he was the only car on the lead lap at the time, and he's come out, rejoined, and didn't drop a lap.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's hard, nearly impossible to do around Dover, and somehow he did it.
He'd probably be the only one who's actually managed it all night, because everybody else I've seen go into the pits has dropped at least 1 lap, if not 2. Can he do no wrong, honestly? I mean, he can't even go a lap down when he pits under green, Bernie.
Well, exactly right. The only time I've seen him struggle, well, the only time that stood out for me was Road America. That was a road course, and he did struggle on that. But that's the only one I remember.
Yeah, I've actually just lost touch with Thomas Hines out there again.
Yeah, he's dropped out on my screen as well.
Oh, that's a real shame, having some real internet issues tonight. No good trying to race when you've got that. I mean, full marks to Thomas. He put in 100% tonight to try and get something out of this. I mean, after running away at the start, he's come back in, has he? Yeah, he's just reappeared again now.
Yeah, he's reappeared entering the pits. So I don't know what's going on with the 52. But we'll see if he continues on or if he's going to call it a night. But meanwhile, up front, Jason Martin continues to lead this race for the fans of Edward Foster in the 53. He's sitting down there in 9th position at the moment. He's just rounded up to 66 of Daniel Stevens. He's about to go down another lap, though, because here comes the purple. I was almost going to call him the purple Pimpernel, but probably more like the Scarlet Pimpernel, sorry.
The purple people,
yeah, that's probably more like it. But,
and Thomas Hines has re-entered. He's taken pit service and he's re-entered the track, so he's going to stick it out. So yeah, full marks to him. I mean, he's trying to get as much out of this as he can. Come hell or high water, Thomas Hines is going to finish this race if he's got anything to do with it.
Exactly right, and that shows the sort of strong character he has, isn't it? It's so easy when you get this far down just to chuck in the towel and go back to the truck, but that's not Thomas Hines. He will race until that car has absolutely no wheels left on it.
Oh, look, to be honest, like, you know, several people think that, you know, I'm like that. I'll finish a race at all costs. But to be perfectly honest, going through everything that he's had tonight with connectivity issues and other things going wrong, and being, 31 laps down, by the time I'd had my third or fourth internet issue, I would have just walked away from it.
Yeah, exactly right. And a lot of people on the first internet issue generally do walk away from it, don't they? Or as we see, who's that 53? Edward Foster into the wall, and he's got Jason Martin right behind him.
Yeah, no, Edward won't be too happy about that, but it hasn't stopped him. Looks a little bit of damage to the front. It looks like he gave it a fair old whack, but he's continuing on. Jason Martin behind him, and just trying to pick who that is. Daniel Stevens, I think, in the 66 car behind Jason Martin.
Yeah, he's down in 10th at the moment. 2 laps down.
Well, Edward's actually given the boss the blow-by as Riley Curtis does a double bouncer off the wall.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard hit too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Edward might have taken him by surprise there, and he suddenly noticed him go past and was a bit closer to the wall, and he realised and gave it a clout. But he's continuing on anyway, and Edward is absolutely fighting tooth and nail to not go down another lap here. And the whole time, Daniel Stevens has also passed Riley Curtis and set off after Jason Martin. Look, I'm trying to see where Daniel Stevens is. He's 2 laps down in 9th, so he's just simply pressing on for points at this stage, I think, Bernie.
Yeah, excuse me. Oh, I'm hitting the wall here, just like all the other drivers out there.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to be hitting the pillow, mate, actually.
Yeah, I have no coffee here tonight, folks. That's exactly what it is. As we see now, Mirko Dortnak, he is trying to stay ahead of Jason Martin, but it's going to be futile as we see now the purple people leader go past on the inside and put him down a lap.
Yeah, next time across the line, Mirko has now gone down a lap, so that's unfortunate, but just the way Jason Martin's driving tonight, I think Edward Foster's going to be his next victim.
Yeah, well, Edward's already down a lap, sitting in 8th, so this will push him down 2 laps as we're riding now on the roll bar of Jason Martin, and we'll see when he's going to make this move. He'll be taking his time, no point rushing it, no point taking a risk.
Got to get you to take another look at your info there and just tell us what the difference between first and second in the championship is coming into the final race next week.
Yeah, I'll bring it up on the screen here now. So bringing that up, Jason Martin, he's on 482 points coming into this tonight. Josh Micklemore 433 points. Stephen Williams 415 points.
Well, this is certainly going to extend that lead a little bit, and I'm just trying to see who that is. Is that Josh Micklemore? Yes, it is, actually. Jason Martin's just past Josh Micklemore, who's still plugging away at it, 8 laps down at the moment. And, yeah, good luck to him. I'd love to see this, but 8 laps down, and he's just after the points. He's just trying to keep that gap as reachable as possible coming into next week. And on a mile and a half at Kansas, I think we might see a real ripper, absolute corker of a race next week with Josh Micklemore and Jason Martin and these guys going at it to finalise the championship.
Yeah, well, although Jason Martin is going to extend the lead, at the moment Josh Micklemore's in 13th, Stephen Williams 5th. So that's going to compress 2nd and 3rd. So they could very well be next week deciding what step of the podium those two may end up on.
Well, exactly what I was saying before. I mean, it's not just the lead of the championship, but there's a 2nd place and a 3rd place to worry about. This is what these guys are racing for at the moment, as well as just to get as many points as possible, because you've got no idea what's going to happen next week. Or, as a matter of fact, in the last 16 laps of this race, as we see Edward Foster still resisting everything that Jason Martin's throwing at him, and yeah, Edward driving like a man possessed out there tonight.
Yeah, he certainly is, and a bit of a shout out. I saw James Foster in the chat earlier on tonight. It's great to see him out enjoying the telecast tonight and watching Edward out there sitting in 8th position.
Yeah, hopefully James is still with us tonight and enjoying the stream and seeing what his brother's actually doing out there. Unless my eyes deceive me, Edward's actually managed to pull that gap out a little bit. So, yeah, he's going to fight on to the end here with around about 14 laps to go. Dave Douglas in behind Josh Micklemore, although a few car lengths back.
I didn't say anything because I'm about to yawn.
That's all right, mate. Not a problem at all.
Yeah, I should have taken some go juice before we got in the server, but at the moment Jason Martin's definitely done that, as he's now ranging on the back of the 53, and he's not trying to make a move, but yeah, Edward's not going to make it easy, as you said, but he doesn't really have to anyway, because he's now the only car on the lead lap again.
Yeah, that's right. I was just noticing that myself. I was watching Dave Douglas in second place, who's a lap down, and so is everybody behind him, all the way down to 8th position, which is Edward Foster. Roger Clark in 6th, Darren McKenzie 7th, positionally just ahead of Edward. But we've got Dave Douglas 2nd, Mirko Doubtnack is third place, sorry. Joshua Carroll Walden in 4th. Stephen Williams is actually in 5th. Roger Clark 6th. Darren McKenzie 7th. Edward Foster 8th. And then we strike the first of the cars that are 2 laps down. Daniel Stevens. Then Riley Curtis. James Zeitz is back in 11th but 2 laps down. Phil Otto 2 laps down in 12th. Then Josh Micklemore 8 laps down. Still plugging away at it out there in 13th. Thomas Hinds is 31 laps down with all those issues he's had. He's still out there and circulating, but he's in 14th position. Jake Maloney is retired at 15th, then Dwayne Priest 16th, and Matthew Clough at 17th. And of course, those last 3 are all retirements, Bernie.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Stephen Williams, he's taken Joshua Carroll Walden for 4th. Joshua is well off pace here. Roger Clark is closing in. 8 laps to go here, and I'm wondering if what is going on with the 35 at the moment.
Not really sure, mate. I mean, he's maybe tyres again, I don't know. I mean, it's the closing stages. He's got Roger Clark right behind him, though. And I've got a feeling Roger's going to take him here shortly. And Joshua Carroll Walden bangs it against the wall a couple of times and drops just enough pace that that's the chance for Roger Clark to slip through on the inside.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, he's well off pace because Roger Clark was a good 2 seconds behind him. He rounded him up in about half a lap. So hopefully the 35 isn't under too much duress here. The next car to catch him is Darren McKenzie, but Darren is quite a long ways back, as we'll go up to the blimp and show you folks the exact gap here.
And a good day to somebody out there at the moment who's now got about 25 years before parole. Apparently he's watching the stream tonight from wherever he may be. I'm getting the impression of it because I think he heard what we were saying before, and that's Danny G. Good day to you, mate. Congratulations to you and the new missus, and let's hope she can put up with you for a bit longer than she has already.
So is this their honeymoon?
I would imagine so.
So what's he doing watching? Okay, watching the racing. Anyway, good on you, Danny G. Congratulations. You will suffer like the rest of us.
I'm imagining he heard what we said earlier because he's actually sent me a message with a couple of big smileys on it.
Okay. You can see now Mirko Dortnack and Stephen Williams. This battle continues. Stephen in the 98. That car's come good with 3 laps to go. He's hunting for second, and that is going to close him up on the back of Thomas or Josh Micklemore in the point standings here. So see him now going on the inside of the 62. 2 laps remaining. He should... Oh, the 62's coming down on him. He doesn't want to do that because he'll get turned. And tell you what, that was close.
Yeah, sorry, mate, I was talking then, but I had the wrong button held down there on the mic. So, talking to myself, basically. So, yeah, exciting stuff right through to the end of this one. But, yeah, no, apparently the new wife went out for dinner with the sister, so he stayed home to watch the race.
Yeah, he just sent a message saying the honeymoon's tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, okay. After he didn't bother going out to dinner, yeah, good luck with that. Okay, so as we see Jason Martin continue to lead, Mirko Doutnak in second and Stephen Williams in third. But, of course, Jason Martin remains. Oh, Jason Martin loose. Jason Martin loose as he's brushed against the wall, Bernie.
It's all right, he's finished. That's what he does when he finishes.
Oh, I didn't realise he'd crossed the line. There you go. I got all excited over nothing.
I got sucked into that last time in qualifying when he did that. But, yeah, Jason Martin takes the win. Mirko Doutnak comes home in second. He just held out Stephen Williams. Let's go through the final results here, folks, so you can see where your favourite driver finished this evening. Okay, so Jason Martin takes the win. He led 100 laps of this race out of 160. Mirko Doutnak up 8 positions to finish in second, and then third position. We'll bring that up so you can actually see our good friend doing the donuts there. Stephen Williams home in third, up 14 positions. Dave Douglas finishes in fourth. Roger Clark comes home in fifth, with Joshua Carroll Walden finishing in sixth. Seventh tonight was the 08 of Darren McKenzie, and then the 53 of Edward Foster comes home in eighth. Ninth position tonight is Daniel Stevens in the 66, and then Phil Otto finishes in 10th. James Zeitz comes home in 11th position, with Riley Curtis finishing in 12th position. And moving through the field, 13th was Josh Mickelmore, 14th Thomas Hinds, 15th Jake Maloney, and Dwayne Priest, 16th, 17th Matthew Clote. So our mover tonight, the biggest mover, that was Stephen Williams up 14 positions. He comes home third, and that closes that gap up on Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, wow, what a race, and positionally it was really all over the place tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. It was very much all over the place. But Darren McKenzie, he had an awesome drive, didn't he? He came from deep down in the field and brings that car home in sixth.
Yeah, no, great drive from Darren. I mean, he really does. He really does try hard. The 08 car, when he gets a good run going, I mean, generally, if you don't see Darren do well, it's because he's been involved in an incident somewhere along the way, whether it's, you know, somebody else's incident and he just happened to be on the wrong spot or not. But generally, he's a pretty good, solid performer, and he's brought it home in difficult circumstances tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of solid performance, folks, Jason Martin is in the green room. We'll bring him up. Did you want to have a chat with him, Steve?
Oh, I might as well, mate. I'm the only one that's awake enough.
Oh, good on you. There you go.
Mr. Martin, how are you?
Pretty good, thanks, mate. How about you?
Well, I'm doing better than my co-host here at the moment. He's having a bit of a yawn. I think he's got a bit of a bed made up in the back of the commentary box there. He's going to lay down with a pillow and a blanket or something. Mate, fantastic drive. Give us your viewpoint on how the race actually went.
Well, the first 40 or 50 laps, I enjoyed that with Thomas, but then when he lost his connection, it got pretty boring after that, so I hope it was a bit more racy down the back.
Yeah, it was. Thomas got a fantastic start off the pace car right at the beginning. Were you expecting him to skip away like that at all?
Because he was in front of me at the pit stop, I told him he could control that start.
No, okay then, all right. But yeah, look, did you find the tyres obviously worked pretty well for you tonight, did they?
Yeah, the setup was pretty tight, and if you pushed it too hard on exit, it would just snap loose on you. So it was pretty tricky on exit, that's about it.
Yeah, it seems to be a track that's good for that, actually. there are spots around here where just when you start to feel comfortable with the line you're running, all of a sudden you get a bit of a wake-up call. So you obviously had to be a little bit careful around here tonight, but you felt comfortable with the car and the setup, obviously.
Yeah, sure did.
All right, no worries. Look, fantastic, mate. Extends the lead a little bit going into the final round next week. We've got the 1.5 miler at Kansas. What are your feelings on Kansas as a track? I mean, are you looking forward to going there, or have you raced there before?
Yeah, I don't race there much, but I don't really like it either, so I don't expect to do that good there. I think someone else could beat me there.
We'll have to see how it works out, mate. You might be foxing a little bit too. I don't know.
No, it's a top line track, and I'm just not very good at them top line tracks.
Yeah, I'm not good at anything under about 2 miles. But yeah, look, great drive, Jason Martin. Tonight's top of the podium and extending the lead in the championship a little bit. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I just got to thank RRTV for the broadcast.
Not a problem. Done. All right, mate. Congratulations and good luck for next week.
Thanks, mate.
No worries. See you, Jason.
I tell you what, Steve, I'm still amazed that Jason has not found a sponsor at the moment.
I know. Yeah, I know. Look, people need to pay attention to some of the guys, especially in this series, that are consistently performing. I mean, there's plenty of on-screen time for just about everybody, but when you've got someone, or 2 or 3 guys even, who are consistently at the front and always on camera because that's where they are, they're in the middle of everything. There's got to be somebody out there who wants their brand name thrown on the car and can surely work something out with him. I mean, it's not like we're talking $1 million deal or anything like that. So, yeah, there must be somebody out there that wants their name on the car that's dominating the championship and is absolutely everywhere at any given time.
Exactly right. And just for some of the people, if they're watching, and some statistics of airtime here, folks, Jason Martin, he had 21 minutes airtime. The next closest was Mirko Dortnak, 7 minutes. So, that's a lot of opportunity to get your brand in front of a large and growing audience.
Oh, absolutely. The way esports are taking off these days, I mean, there are big IT companies and tech companies that they're backing their own teams in esport comps, and this is costing money. I mean, somebody wants their name on a car that gets seen on a live stream and in replay week in, week out. You could do a whole lot worse than backing somebody like Jason Martin or Mirko Dortnak or Josh Micklemore. I mean, it can't be that hard to get in contact with them and say, look, throw my name on the car and we'll make a deal. Can't be hard to do, surely.
Yeah, exactly right. Anyway, our next interview tonight, folks, that is your lecture. As we can see that jolly green giant on the outside of that stadium. Let's bring in Mirko Dortnak.
Mirko, good evening, sir. Congratulations, 2nd place tonight.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, cheers. I got lucky.
Mate, you put yourself in the right position at the right time, because if you don't do that, then you don't end up where you finished. I mean, you've got to put yourself in the spot to take advantage of opportunities. So you've done that, and congrats for a good drive tonight. A little bit of an issue earlier on in one of the green flag pit stops. You got a bit loose entering the pits. What happened there?
I practiced that a couple of times, and that was just one of those times where I got to the line there and realised I was going way too fast and just did my best to put a penalty. So a little bit embarrassing, but kept it out of the way.
Well, mate, you dealt with it and you brought it home and in 2nd place, and that's the main thing. How did you actually find the race tonight? Tyres and stuff like that? Any real challenges that you had to face out there?
Oh, well, otherwise than that, I kept pretty good throughout the run. I mean, I found the setup pretty good. So that was all right. Just slow down, just everybody else. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, that's good. Look, you drove a good race. I mean, there was lots of competition out there, lots of, we had a good, strong field tonight. And really, there was only, I think, 3 guys that actually retired tonight. Thomas Hinds had all sorts of issues after starting at the front tonight, but he managed to bring it home anyway. So we only had 3 retirements, so plenty of traffic still on track that you would have had to contend with. Did you find that particularly difficult?
It wasn't too bad, actually. Just when we were getting up onto traffic that was on top of other traffic, that was just waited, really, and that was it. Bide your time.
Yeah, it was a little bit hard to keep up with who was where on the track at some points. I mean, we had the guys racing for 6th, 7th and 8th, and right alongside them or right behind them were the guys racing for 11th and 12th, and then ahead of them or behind them was the guys racing for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. So it was all mixed up all over the place, and we had to sort of double check the telemetry a couple of times tonight.
Yeah. It was a bit like that. I mean, I was struggling out where I was in the race in a couple of spots. So yeah, but it was a good race, good fun.
It's easy to do, and it's great to hear that you enjoyed it and you had a great time, mate. And 2nd place, yeah, look, congrats. That'll get you some good points in the championship and going into the 1.5 miles next week. How do you feel about Kansas Raceway?
It's one of the to enjoy. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, okay, good. Jason Martin had a slightly different opinion on it, so it'd be interesting to see how we actually turn out there next week. He didn't have anything negative to say about the track, except that it just not the best line around there is not his favourite line. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out next week. I think we're going to see a real mix of driving styles and lines next week as to who settles in at that particular track. So look, congrats, mate. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to while you got the chance?
Just yourself, ANZCAR and ANZCAR for putting on this series. Yeah.
No worries, mate. Look, once again, congrats and fantastic drive tonight. Well done to you. 2nd on the podium and one more race to go in the series. So that's going to be good to see next week.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
No worries. Thanks, Mirko Doutnak, 2nd place tonight here at Dover. And thanks to Mirko for giving us his time for a quick interview tonight. Bernie, we got one more coming or not?
No, that's all, mate. We are done in interviews. Stephen Williams did not make the green room, so he's probably debriefing at the moment. But interesting race there tonight, Steve. It got a little bit boring there as far as the leader went, but there was still a lot of great racing down through the field.
Oh, yeah, look, I know what you mean by that. I mean, there was quite a period there towards the end, especially that Jason ended up being the only car on the lead lap and stuff like that. But at the same time, he was still working his way through the traffic. And as I said, we only had 3 cars retire tonight. So there was still a lot of traffic on out there. I mean, going right back to 14th on a track like this, there was constantly cars somewhere. Groups of 2 or 3 that were doing their own thing. Jason Martin had to contend with that. Mirko Doutnak had to contend with that. Stephen Williams had to contend with that. It was green flag pit stops. I think we had 1 caution tonight. Is that right?
That's right. That's what I was about to raise. It was extremely impressive. The first caution for tonight came out in lap 16. Then they raced under green for the next 144 laps to finish with only 1 caution. So that's pretty good, especially at Dover.
Oh, look, yeah, just fantastic stuff. I mean, we certainly didn't have that on Monday night in the trucks. I would have expected it to be better here tonight. Once again, I think it's last week or the week before I made the comment, no matter how the trucks go, it's always the opposite when you get to these things. Now, we can have a dead smooth race and they'll have trouble in this one. We can have a lot of caution periods and a lot of cars retire. Then you'll get to this, and we've got 3 cars out, 14 still on track, and the leader, the only guy left on the lead lap. Everybody behind him is on 1 lap down. So, you never know how it's going to go. Just because the trucks do it on Monday doesn't mean you can expect anything in particular here on the Thursday night, Bertie.
Exactly right, and you've just underlined that perfectly once again. Also, we should give a shout out to Track Cams for Gourmets. These are the people providing the great tracks and the cameras we've been using tonight. So if you want to get it for yourself, go over to trackcams22.com and you can purchase those camera packs for yourself there. But looking at tomorrow night, it's Friday night, and that means V8 supercars. And I tell you what, we will have Daniel Leet and Troy Allen doing the commentary tomorrow night. We're off to Zolder for the 4080 sprint round. So that's going to be fireworks for sure. So definitely tune in, 9:15 p.m. tomorrow night, GMT plus 10.
Yeah, look, also a big shout out and thanks to the ANZCAR admins and our series sponsor, APCS, Advanced PC and Simulations, to be found at advancedpcandsimulations.com.au for their support of the series and a lot of other things that ANZCAR does. So that always is very welcome. And there's a lot of work goes into the series, and Shane at APCS is always supportive of everything that ANZCAR seems to do, and it's great to have him along. So great to have Double RTV here again, and I'd like to think I played my part tonight, Bernie. So I'll hand it over to you so you can do the sign-offs. But one more round in this and one more round in the trucks on Monday night, and we wrap things up for a couple of weeks. So let's make the most of these last couple of races, Bernie.
Yeah, definitely. It all comes to a finale next week at Kansas. But once again, Steve, thanks for calling the race with me tonight. It's always been a pleasure. Always is a pleasure, I should say. And you're always having a lot of fun and bringing a lot of excitement to our broadcast, but also to everyone joining us, no matter where you are in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's coverage of the RRTV coverage of the APCS ANZCAR Thursday Thunder Series, and hopefully you can join us tomorrow night. But if you can't, hopefully you have a good weekend. Of course, if you like GT3, and you can come back Saturday night at 10 p.m. GMT plus 10, and we will have Weehan Chan calling all the action there with Scott Newton. But until then, folks, on behalf of Steve Hoppert, I'm Bernie Weemers. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great evening and good night.